crushing sanctions that Scott Bessent said he's going to collapse the Iranian economy. He said our new sanctions will lead to the collapse of the Iranian regime. And the other point that was somehow strange for Scott Bessent today, he said that the oil price is going up. He doesn't know what's going on. Here is what he said.
That is unbelievable. Should play it.
A spike in oil prices today that I don't really understand. You know, our announcement is for economic action, and I think that the economic action will mean that oil prices will come down sooner.
Yeah.
I don't understand because my head's stuck halfway up my ass. God bless him. I mean, really. You know, and this guy's supposed to be a smart guy. But what everybody doesn't understand is why the price of oil actually hasn't been higher up to now. But we know why. It's market, and he was essentially admitting to market manipulation right there. We make these announcements and the price of oil is supposed to come down. Really? Is that how that works? Well, the price of oil is going to keep going up. There is a global shortage of diesel, and it's not going away anytime soon. And it's not just due to the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is shut down. That is a contributing factor. But it's much more complex than that. And the fact that Bessent doesn't understand that is frightening. You know, the word I'm hearing from people who are knowledgeable about the derivatives market, you understand, you know what the derivatives market is. So it's basically it's legalized gambling is what it is, and it does it under the auspices of financial markets. But the best way to describe it is you start with the first level bet. Is the price of oil going to go up or down? I'm going to bet it's going to go up. Okay. Then you got a next level that says, I'm going to bet that Larry is wrong. So that's the second derivative. Then the third derivative is that some person says, that person that bet that Larry is wrong, I'm going to bet that they're wrong. So now you got a 3-level derivative. And these levels keep going to the point that the ultimate dollar exposure, let's say my initial prediction that oil was going to go up was based on a $10,000 bet. By the time you get to the 5 or 6 level of these derivatives, it could be worth $10 billion. Mm-hmm. And the reality is that the derivatives market right now is in excess of $1 quadrillion, more than $999 trillion. 1 quadrillion. So I've heard from people involved with that industry and knowledgeable people. They genuinely believe that the derivative market's going to implode, and it will be a bigger implosion in 2008. So, coming back to Scott Bessent, he expected this announcement to lower the price of oil. It didn't. And it's not going to lower the price of oil because the oil is not out there in the abundance. They're short 20 million barrels a day. And no other country can make it up.
Yeah, the question, Larry, today the reporter on CNBC asked Scott Bessent that does the economic campaign against Iran include China? And he said that many conversations are best to have in private. He said that China is receiving 50% of its oil from the West Asia, from the Persian Gulf. But moments ago, we've learned from the Chinese foreign ministry saying that it doesn't recognize the US sanctions against Iran, and China will not comply with the economic warfare campaign initiated by the United States, by Donald Trump this week. And I think this is going to be one of the most important topics during the meeting that Donald Trump going to have next week with Xi Jinping.
Yeah. Well, let me give you an example. You have neighbors?
Yeah, I do.
Do the neighbors have kids?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. So it's one thing for you to tell your son, you do this or else I'm going to cut your allowance, because you have financial leverage over your son. But you can't go to your neighbor's kid and say, you do what I tell you or I'm cutting your allowance. They're going to look at you and say, who's that crazy Iranian next door? Yeah, you can't tell us what to do. Well, that's essentially what the United States still believes, that Iran is somehow its vassal, that Iran has to deal with US dollars, that Iran has to respond to what the United States says. That may have been the case a year ago, but not now. Iran has completely divorced itself from the US dollar, and Iran is now aligned with China and Russia. And it's dealing with Chinese currency, and it's got its money in Chinese banks. So these end of the world sanctions that Besant's talking about, they're stupid. The only possible country it could hurt that's within Iran's realm is Pakistan. But again, for Pakistan, it's going to be a little choice. Are they going to align themselves with the United States or with China? My bet is they're going to align themselves with China, because China actually is a bigger industrial power now, and Pakistan can see that China is the wave of the future, not the United States.
This is not something new for Donald Trump. He did the same in his first term. You remember withdrawing from JCPOA and putting tremendous sanctions on Iran. It's basically halfway through his first term he did that, and right now his second term the same thing, withdrawing from the MOU and doing the same thing, tremendous sanction. I'm gonna do this, but
no, he hasn't learned a thing. That's for sure.
The situation is different this time around. I don't know if he fully appreciates what's going on right now.
Well, just think about what he said last night with respect to Iran. So Iran's defeated. You've wiped out Iran's army. You've wiped out Iran's air force. You've wiped out Iran's navy. You've obliterated their missile system. They don't have anything left on the nuclear front. Therefore, we need to impose more sanctions. I thought you defeated him. Why do you need more sanctions? Sanctions imply you need to punish a country to make it do what you want it to do. So from the Trump telling of the story, we've already wiped out all of Iran's ability to resist. And then they got that iron blockade, the steel wall, the blockade, nothing gets in or out. Okay, again, if that's the case, why even call for new sanctions? Doesn't make sense. So what this means is this is a sign of desperation by the United States. Nothing they've done has worked. They have no control over Iran. And this is a desperate backdoor method to try to get it and pressuring other countries. And as China said, screw you. We're not, you're not going to tell us what to do, and we'll deal with Iran as we want.
Do you think, is he concerned about the debt that has been increased? Right now is about $40 trillion.
Well, he should be. He should be, but I don't think he is. Besant's starting to get concerned because, they've been fighting to avoid raising the yields on the Treasury bill. And man, stock market today said, no, we don't believe you anymore. So there's problems with the Department of Treasury right now.
It seems that J.D. Vance believes, in his recent interview, he said that Scott Bessent is controlling everything. Here is what he said.
Let's talk for a minute about Iran.
No, this is, let me just, he believes that everything is under the control under Scott Bessent. And let me just bring it here.
The debt is too high. Even though we inherited this debt bomb from the Biden administration, we actually do have a plan to get the economy growing faster than the debt, and that's the most important thing. The issue that we've had under the Biden administration and what we're still kind of dealing with is that the debt was growing faster than American GDP. That's the problem. That's something that we're certainly fixing every single day in the Trump administration. But you know, even though the media doesn't cover this, I'm glad you're asking this question, because Scott Bessent is very much on top of it. He knows it's a problem, and he's got the president's empowerment to do something about
it. Yeah, ridiculous. I mean, it's just Bessent's not on top of it.
He's just genius. I forgot. Donald Trump is genius. He said that my name is Genius. Genius Act, the new. But Larry, how do you think that? Let's assume the continuation of these two wars. How is that going to influence the long-run strategy of the United States in reducing? Because one of the main concerns since the day one to reduce this, that debt, Donald Trump multiple times, I would say 10 times since he took power, since he was elected in January 2025, he said that he's going to reduce the debt. He's going to reduce the debt. But it's just going up. Nothing is coming down.
Yeah, he's added $3 trillion in 18 months. And then there's never been this quick a growth of the debt of the United States in the history of the United States. And this is unprecedented. So, I think the economic, what's going to sabotage, continue to prevent the United States from really getting any movement with Iran will be the economic chaos that I believe is coming. That, when the Wall Street starts crashing and the price of diesel is becoming exorbitant, and farmers aren't able to get into the fields to harvest crops, trucks aren't able to haul food from one point to another, you're going to see some widespread unrest in the United States. And that's where I think Trump's going to be forced to focus, frankly.
Is he concerned of the situation, or he's just feeling, he's going to continue? Joe Biden gave him the war in Ukraine. He's going to give the war in Ukraine together with the war in Iran. Because it's a very important decision if he accepts the Iranian dominance on the Strait of Hormuz, or the new mechanism of the Strait of Hormuz. Everyone would point him, it would say it was Donald Trump who accepted that. I assume he's not going to do that because, he knows the complexity of that, how they're going to hit him. That's why he's going to hand it over to the next administration. Say, I have nothing to do. If they do it, they did it. I didn't do it.
Well, I don't think he'll. I wonder if he'll survive this term. I wonder if he'll be forced to resign for health reasons or other things before the end of the term, and just to get J.D. Vance in there to have a hope of saving Republicans. Not that I know in some parts he's not considered much of a savior, but Trump Trump's base is quite shattered. And he may think he's got a stronger base out there, but he doesn't.
Larry, what does he want from Iran? Let's assume Iran, he said the negotiation, the deal he's seeking for. What is that deal exactly that he wants from Iran? What is...
Get rid of the Islamic Republic for starters. But
Yeah,
eliminate the IRGC. Very simple stuff. But it should be impossible to implement. And then a complete disarmament. Get rid of all of their ballistic missiles and combat aircraft. That's what the United States would want. Iran, I think, is in a stronger position to get what it wants. They really haven't articulated it yet, so maybe you've got some new insights.
I was amazed how, I don't know if you saw the interview of Jake Sullivan. He had an interview on Bloomberg, and he was asked about the new... You remember what you told me last night about the connection that Donald Trump made through Tulsi Gabbard and connection with the Kurdish people in Iraqi Kurdistan, and then talking with the head of...
Trying to bribe.
Yeah, exactly. It seems that it was reported on Axios as well. And today I saw the interview of Jake Sullivan, and the reporter of Bloomberg asked him, how do you feel about the report on Axios mentioning the same story you told us last night? He said, yeah, there is division in Iran. We're trying to find the proper way to deal with that and to play them against each other somehow. It's a global sort of understanding on the part of the establishment in Washington. They literally feel that they can play one side against the other side, or there are some sort of drastic division in Tehran that they can play them against each other. To my understanding,
they've done it with the whole issue of terrorism as well. Called it, they wanted to present, number one, they present Iran as the primary sponsor of terrorism, number one perpetrator of terrorism, but they're not. And when you look back on it over the last 25 years, the most active groups are all Sunni groups funded by Gulf Arabs and funded by the CIA too in several cases. So then you got to ask yourself the question, was the rise of these Sunni Salafist groups, terrorist groups, a lot of times their target was Iran, Iranian officials, Iranian people. It looks like that was a deliberate strategy on the part of the United States that, we'll cultivate these jihadists and turn them loose on Iran. Can't trust the United States.